Hey, Real Nerds listeners, your favorite host Ryan here to remind you that social media is great. How great is it? There's many ways you can find the Real Nerds on social media. You can download us on iTunes. You can listen to us streaming on Stitcher Radio. You can call us 720-6nerds5. Aw man, our website is so cool. You can visit our website, realnerdspodcast.com. You want to leave some fan mail? Oh, that's so easy, realnerds@gmail.com. Twitter, we got it, @real_nerds. You can even like us on Facebook. Thank you so much, and hey, enjoy the show. Welcome to Real Nerds at Denver Comic-Con 2015. We hope you enjoy the following interview.
Welcome to Denver Comic-Con. We're live on the DCC floor in like the last hour. Still have a voice, and I am joined here with Zach Howard. Zach, how you doing?
Hola, I'm good.
It's been like 2 years since we actually got to talk to you.
Yeah.
So it's really great to have you back on the show.
Were you the guys I bought, or you guys gave me like barbecue powder or something like that?
Oh yeah, we gave you the yeah. Did you try it?
Actually, on tofu, it's really good.
Really? That goes all the way back to the first Denver
Yeah.
Comic-Con.
There you go,
That's when
yeah.
we did that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Well, we will pass that on to.
Really good for vegan food.
Okay. Good.
I know a lot
Very
of comic
cool.
people need to know that.
Hey, you know,
the comic vegan community.
Comics are universal. Vegan food is not, but comics are universal. So there are definitely some comic book vegan fans out there. Very cool. Thanks. So I think we got to talk to Mike 2 years ago.
Rage.
When Wild Blue Yonder was coming out, but didn't get to talk to you. So I'd love to do a really quick sort of post-mortem on what that process was like, and do you feel like doing a Kickstarter and funding a book that way and doing it all independently is something that you really loved, or do you think you're gonna like try to get back into doing like indie books and working on IDW and all that stuff?
Kickstarter, it's a double-edged sword.
Right.
But if you do it right, it's more positive than negative.
Cool.
It did slow me down in the production because I had hundreds of sketches and signed books and mailing this and that.
Yeah.
So it's a grind that way, but because of Kickstarter, we actually own Wild Blue Yonder as opposed to somebody else owning it or owning 75% or 50 or whatever the deal was. So we flat out own it. We believed in the story, and Kickstarter gave us a fantastic financial foundation so we could get the first 2 issues done completely without any other bills. And then I was able to just do covers and draw the series at the same time. It slowed the process down, but again, I think the product speaks for itself. With, Kickstarter, if you truly believe in your product and you're not fooling yourself, it gives you a freedom never before in publishing.
That's cool.
And it's tremendous. So because of that, and because of the success of Wild Blue, we're funding ourselves. We don't ever need anybody's money ever again.
Cool.
Wild Blue, we're able to sell it to Intel then for the real sense because we own it. So it's fantastic. But it's a grind.
So can you give people an idea on what is it you're working on now?
The Intel RealSense Wild Blue Yonder experience. It's the RealSense camera that Intel is putting out. It's going to be built into all their computers. Not all of them, but a big, huge chunk of them. Starting this Christmas, I believe.
Yeah.
And the camera's a new type of webcam that kind of acts like a Xbox Kinect on creatine. It's super pumped up, and our job is to take the Wild Blue Yonder story and advertise this new technology with our story to get people interested in these new super 3D cameras that can see everything. They recognize your emotions. They can tell your heartbeat, every finger, depth cues. It's pretty interesting. So we're doing it's fully interactive. It's like you basically get to play a comic book.
Wow.
So the story's still linear. It's fully acted by actors. It's animated. It goes from 2D to 3D, and you get to play 3D with your body and steer Cola's jet. And play as a jetpacker. Then it goes back to the linear story where it's 2D, but it's parallax animation, so you can like look around the characters a little bit. Sorry, I'm moving my mouth from the microphone.
You're okay.
And so it's the comic book, but you get to experience the comic in a new interactive way, so you get to be part of this linear story the whole time.
That sounds really cool.
We're hoping.
Right. How is that? I mean, for you, who is like, I mean, you are very detailed. There's a lot of stuff going on in your books. Does that actually make it a lot harder to build? Like, if your panel now, all of a sudden, you can't even hide part of the extremely detailed ship with some cloud because people can move the cloud or go around the cloud.
Correct.
I imagine that this is a pretty robust project.
Yes. Yeah. It's pretty... the process is pretty arduous. And, two, I feel bad for the engineers because it's a brand-new technology.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out... I mean, we're kind of Lewis and Clarking it. You know, it's no one... Not that we're changing the world. It's just no one's ever done anything like this. It's a new technology. So we're kind of figuring out what the hell is going on, what we want to do. And sometimes you discover things like character rigging where the camera can match the face of the characters with your face, the person who's viewing it, and the emotions of the characters will match yours, you know, and how you move your face and everything. So it's a really surreal experience when you're playing. You feel it's really connective. You feel like you're interacting with the characters or at least impacting them. So even though it's a linear story, we're pretty happy with how involved you get in. Just the littlest thing, even through the linear scenes, it does something.
Wow.
You know, slow jets down that are flying or things like that with movement of your head. So
this sounds really cool.
Yeah, we're pretty excited.
So on a panel like that, like if you've got a character who's moving his head, is that are you doing like a really detailed model of every character's head in different like poses and stuff like that, and you're reusing that, or does every panel need you to draw that character from a couple different angles so that it can blend it together?
Actually not. Technology is so fast now, the computer can kind of tell like a face. Now, I can't turn a head completely profile,
right?
But you can go like this, and you know the characters are doing things like this, like looking around, and you can. What it does is it maps out my 2D drawing and applies 3D cameras to them.
Okay.
So it still looks like a 2D drawing, but it's literally rotating, and the eyebrows and the mouth and the eyes move, and it's almost creepy at first till we learned how to work within a parameter. Because at first they look like they suddenly were possessed by Satan. But once we kind of learned that threshold, it's so cool.
Yeah.
You know, because you almost feel it more than you see it. Because you're having your emotion and the character's mimicking it.
Wow.
And I wasn't. When they told it to me, I was like, what can you even use that in a story?
Right.
But the engineers pulled it off. We're at 2-Bit Circus. It was just amazing.
So how soon do you think we are going to get to see something? Is there someplace where we can see like a little test version of it? Or
New York Comic Con, we're going to have a fully playable demo.
Wow.
At the table, we'll probably be either, I suspect we'll be with Intel, but we may have our own booth. Regardless, at New York Comic Con, we'll have a fully playable, probably laptop that fans can come up and play while I, sketch and smile.
Wow, so it's not that far off.
No, it's built into Intel laptops and 2 other types of computers, I forget. And you can also buy the camera like a webcam, just like by yourself and slap it on your computer. And it's not that big.
Yeah.
It's not like an Xbox Connect. It's literally like a webcam.
Yeah.
So this Christmas, it's being built into, it'll go heavy production, I think, next year. So I don't know. It's a new technology, but Intel truly believes in it. And once you see it, it's kind of amazing. But you never know about technologies. But
very cool.
Intel took a chance on us to advertise their technology, and we're going to try and do our best.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense from looking at that book and how beautiful the book is. I'm not trying to blow smoke. I'm just saying it's a really gorgeous book and a cool story, and that it does allow for a lot of movement, I would think. So it's a good choice on their part. Yeah.
Thanks. To circle back to your one question, detail is a problem. Say if this was a cartoony book or some broken down style like Mignola or something like that, it'd be tremendously easier because we have to break the characters apart. So if they're deconstructed a bit already, it helps. Where mine, you've seen my insane crap. So it's very tedious, and it's taking us a while, but we're very happy with the result. So,
good.
And
the cool thing is it'll prove the concept really well, because if they can make it work with you, they can probably make it work with most artists.
Exactly.
Right?
We're going to be able to, take this engine that we're building for this and sell it to other companies.
Yeah.
And we've had some interest, but we got to wait till patents and the product comes out. But sell it to other comics, and we have our engine. You can just prep your art and do your own version of this too.
Oh yeah.
So,
the dream would be to have it in a tablet, right?
Yes.
The dream would be to be able to sit there and just like you're reading a comic,
correct,
and be able to interact with it. That would be amazing.
It's close.
Yeah,
it's very, very close.
Wow.
It's in laptops now.
Cool.
Tablets are next, I'm sure.
That's really, really neat.
So
cool. So if that's almost done, or at least within a couple of months,
1/3.
Right? Yeah. Do you have any idea what you're working on next, or can you talk about it at all?
A little, yeah. It's a story called Buck.
Cool.
It's a fantasy story about a rabbit.
Cool.
Oddly enough, another coming-of-age story for me. It seems to be my thing. But it's a coming-of-age story about a rabbit that trying to find out his lineage in a world where rabbits aren't supposed to exist anymore. They were all killed off in some great war or whatever. So
cool.
It's basically the feel of it is your Lord of the Rings / Conan, but with animals. Cool. Ferrets are the bad guys. There's rats. There's hawks. There's Mike Raich has just exploded on this script. So
yeah.
I never thought I'd be drawn animated rabbit, but when you get a story this good, it really gets the juices flowing.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah.
So what else? Like, what are you reading? What are you interested in right now? What's filling your time when you're not drawing?
Well, your comic book fans are going to be upset.
No.
But I mostly, I don't know, read books, and I while I work, I just listen to podcasts, science and history podcasts, some philosophy. Been reading, took a big, long hiatus from philosophy, but I started reading that again, so I listen to Alan Watts lectures. I'm a really exciting person.
No, this is all cool.
I listen to Alan Watts lectures and whoever, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Lawrence Krauss.
I'll
just put in some weird documentary that are free online, and hey, I'll learn about chemistry today, and it's really exciting. Once I can learn while I'm working.
Right.
Work's become a little bit easier because I've been doing this 15 years. It gets really lonely.
Yeah.
And everybody battles that. And the demons in your head start, poisoning your mind. The littlest things you can think about all day, and it just becomes cancer in your head, and you're no good to anybody then. So these podcasts have really saved my life because I've already heard every song ever made like 400 times. So
right.
So podcasts are just tremendous. You go on these tangents, like one guy's talking to another guy and you never heard of that guy, and then it's just a beautiful window into a whole new line of thinking and discovery, and
yeah.
It's amazing what that can do, and it pacifies me a bit while I draw. Then like I say, the lonely angst doesn't seem to burn quite as bright when you're learning from there's all these tremendous people that have lived and are living, and there's so much you can learn, and within that learning, there's a lot of entertainment too.
Yeah.
With podcasts, two people talking to each other, you get two smart people having a natural conversation with each other. It's one of the most interesting things to watch.
Yeah.
I agree. Or listen to. I don't get to watch much of them, but
yeah, I know. I agree. I do a lot of the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot less interesting to. Yeah, you're right. You listen to the same song over and over again. You're like, okay, I understand. Like the song is really good, but I've been listening to a lot of like Startup or Reply, all the Gimlet Media stuff that came out of This American Life. It's all fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating. I don't know if you've listened
I know
to
of
any
it.
Okay, yeah.
This American Life, I've some of it, but I not like I do like Radiolab in that genre. Oh, Radiolab's good.
Radiolab's great.
Every time it comes out, it's like a birthday present. It's like, ooh.
Absolutely.
Hardcore History does it for me more than anything, though.
Oh, yeah?
Dan Carlin is, even though he's a historian, I guess even though isn't the right way to put it, but he's one of the best storytellers, I think, on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And that's why he's able to tell history in a way that you identify with it. He's one of those rare storytellers that can bring you a contemporary or a modern person in a contemporary setting and put them in that moment in history so you can understand why they did what they did. Because if you do it from this time, you're like, those crazy jerks, or what, why were people that crazy and that violent towards each other? And he does an amazing job of putting you in that frame of mind, whether it was the right way to think or the wrong way to think. They're just humans and societies, and some catalyst led to the next thing, and next thing you know, people are acting in ways that they consider inhuman a year ago.
Yeah.
But they've dehumanized their enemy so much that, they're just evil people now.
Do you find yourself working a lot of what you learn, especially in history stuff, into your art?
Oh yeah, I mean, Wild Blue Yonder, I'm a World War II nerd, so you can 3 World War II aircrafts just magically appear in my book.
Right.
But so yes, but it's usually on kind of like a more surface level.
Yeah.
However, I am working on some stuff with historical stories, and I can't talk about it now because it's a little down the pipeline.
Sure.
A buck, but yeah, our company Noble Transmission, we're working. Just being a history nerd, I think there are ways to tell historical stories to a comic book crowd in very interesting ways.
Absolutely.
So we're working on that.
It's funny. I've had a lot of conversations this weekend with a lot of different people who are working. I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? We're at Denver Comic Con.
Yeah.
It's part of Pop Culture Classroom. But a lot of conversations about people working pop culture and comics and different kinds of mediums into education on all kinds of levels, right? You're not just teaching people to read, but working through speech impediments and all these different things that people are doing. I think absolutely, history and sciences and that kind of stuff, a lot of people, not everybody is going to come to those genres of education in the same way, and you sit them down in front of a textbook and they're going to be super bored, but you sit them down in front of something else and start teaching them about even with podcasts it's true, right?
Yeah.
Everything you just described about having somebody really tell you the story in an audio format that feels so relatable is a lot more effective than I'm going to sit down in a book and they're going to tell me all of the facts, right? It's all there, but there's no heart.
There you go.
And the same thing would be true if you can draw me a picture of exactly what was going on. It would probably be a lot more memorable and a lot more impactful.
I believe so too.
So that's really cool.
If you really, all you really do is need to make somebody excited about something, and they'll teach themselves about it.
Yeah.
They look at all the Star Wars nerds.
They know everything about Star Wars.
Everything. Like a sand person's weapon is, or whatever obscure. Jerk in the background making clicking noises was in this scene. And, so that's what I'm saying. If you can turn that into actual things like history and get somebody, you'll probably never get the fantastical level that you do of Star Wars, obviously. Right. But you just need to trigger that excitement or the curiosity. Like, why did that happen? Or why did this work? Why does the star do this? Why are we in space? You get them asking those questions, they'll teach themselves.
Yeah.
You just got to give them a little spark.
Absolutely.
And I think most people will. The human mind wants to learn patterns and knowledge and things like that. You just got to find a way to turn it on.
Yeah.
So.
What did we were actually just talking a little while ago because you just came from portfolio reviews, and we've talked in the past about people just starting to get into comic books and how you would encourage them, but you brought up one that I think is kind of interesting, which is somebody who's really close, somebody who's good, but is not. They're not going to go work at Marvel anytime soon, or at least not right now.
Correct.
What do you find is your most common piece of advice to them, or what are the things that is that piece of encouragement that usually you would like to hope is going to get them over the edge?
Turn off your ego, become analytical about your own work.
Okay.
The quicker you can learn the foundation, the glue that makes a comic book, and whether it be the story or the combination of storytelling, art style, framework, design, the amount of black on a page, character, story content, all those things. It's just there's countless variables. So everybody. Most people are married to their ego, and it's something everybody fights with. Some people acknowledge that and take steps to, slowly get your ego, reined in. The discipline of removing your ego from the situation, and I'm not talking about the creative process. I'm talking about structural storytelling. Or sequential storytelling in a structured manner, or anatomy, or camera movement. All those things, you can create little equations in your head. If you become analytical, you can make a proof in your head, like a mathematical proof. So every time you stick a variable in there, you have the correct answer.
Yeah.
And that's where your egos are promote entropy, because your body doesn't want to grow, wants to rest. So does your mind. So or your ego. So it just wants you to sit on the couch and veg out. The quicker you can burn through that crap, listening to your ego will lie to you. Oh, you're better than what these people are saying, so don't work on it. Blah blah blah. Hide how bad you draw feet in under capes and things like that. That's your ego, and the quicker you can set that aside and say, okay, here's my goal. This is where I want to get. This is where I am now. It's like traversing a mountain. You look for a path, and sometimes you're going to be on that path, and you're going to have to take a detour and around and things like that. But every time you're moving, you're always moving towards that goal. And if you're a slave to your ego, you're not moving at all. You're just sating your need to be accepted and awesome and alpha dog or whatever. And so I'd say that the quicker you can get disciplined and remove that. Now, of course, you don't remove it. The artwork comes from the ego, like your style and what you want to do. But that's why it's kind of a nuanced conversation. But I'm sure most people can kind of understand what I'm saying. You got to reel it in, because you will lie to yourself. Your brain's built for that.
Yeah.
You're not as great as what your ego's telling you.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a liar. So get them out of your life. And don't ever listen to them. It's always going to be there, but don't let them control you. Or I guess I'm assigning a gender to your ego, but that would be the key.
Yeah.
Is try to figure out the math behind successful artists and because when you learn, the construction, you can see the seams. Once you get smart enough and disciplined enough and skilled enough, you can start to see the seams in these masters' works, like how they constructed it, why something worked, and eventually sometimes how they failed. And once you can figure out how those masters did something or why they did something is the more important question, you can create a mathematical proof out of that. They did that because of this.
Right.
You take those variables, and of course you mold that to your style and your life, but that's how I did it. I didn't start drawing until I was 24, and I drew Hellboy at 27. So it's not magic. It's just a matter of deconstructing people that are better than you. And again, if they're the mountaintop and I'm right here, you got to find a path to get there. And that's where the analytical mind comes in. I don't think enough people are analytical. So I'm not talking about a cold robot way, but you got to you got like an engineer, or a scientist. You got to deconstruct it and really kind of figure out what the hell makes this work.
Yeah.
And then it makes sense to you. Then you can take his or her success and apply it to your life then, or your artwork, in your own way. And when you digest it and spit it out again, it's going to be something different. But their successful, discoveries that they had can help teach you. You don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. You don't copy, you learn. When you copy, you're not learning.
Right.
But if you break it apart, see how it works, like a car engine, you can then go build your own car engine. It's not going to be the same as the other one, but it's going to work.
Yeah.
But it'll be your car engine, and you know the formula of how to make a car engine work. So then you can build your own car engine instead of copying car engine or guessing.
Yeah.
You're not going to have
I'm pretty sure this is what's under the hood, but I've never seen it before.
There you go.
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
You go.
So if you don't, I'm going to ask kind of a hard question,
Go.
or at least I think it's a little hard. If you aren't reading a lot of comics now, is there art out there that you're looking at so that you continue to improve, so that you continue to try to fix that equation?
But it's more by happenstance now. Either walking around a con, or I'll be on DeviantArt and somebody will contact me or something, or I'll just see something. And of course, but I honestly, at this point, I try to remove all comic book influence from my life.
Really? Are you afraid that it's going to
pollute?
Yeah.
You can't not be polluted by it. I think I've worked really hard over the last 15 years to get to a certain skill level, and I think I'm at a skill level now to where I don't need influence in that way.
Yeah.
I'm more influenced by the music I listen to, the podcasts I listen to, the discoveries I listen to. Those are what excite me and get my juices flowing, and then I go draw.
Yeah. As
opposed to, oh, wow, Jim Lee drew a cool, Power Girl or whoever the hell is in DC, and people would just copy that then because it was successful.
Yeah.
I even if they don't think they are, how I discovered this is I grew up a Mignola clone, and I was pushed that way, and I don't know. Are we getting too esoteric?
No, I don't think so. At least not for me.
What I noticed with Mignola, and I used to talk with some of my close artist friends, is this: the second I look at a Mignola book, I go draw. I start looking more like Mignola. It's just hard because his stuff makes so much sense. It's almost impossible not to be influenced by him.
Yeah.
Those guys that have figured it out at such a high level, and also found a beautiful way to be successful at that discovery.
Right.
It's almost impossible not to be influenced. Listen to Led Zeppelin and then go play guitar and, you're going to hit some Jimmy Page notes. You just are.
Yeah.
You just are. Your mind recognized that pattern as a successful pattern, and you're going to apply that to yourself. So at this point, I read almost no comics. Now, I'm not anti-comic. I'm just when I do read it, it's usually like cartoon, fun, stupid stuff.
Things that are very far away from what you do.
Correct.
Right.
I try to work in a vacuum in a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, and now it's impossible to,
Yeah.
but I try to limit the factors as much as possible. And I'm not saying that's the right way. This is just the way I found success. I don't want Wild Blue to look like anything that ever came before it.
Right, which it doesn't. But I think it makes a lot of sense because everything that you just said sort of implies that with as late as you started and the way that you started, and the kind of an artist you were early on, your brain seems to. It's like what you're talking about with the camera and Wild Blue Yonder, right? Like you're breaking things down into little elements and reusing those elements in a lot of ways,
Correct.
right? And you didn't start when you were 10, figure out your style, draw over 20 years, always want to be Jim Lee, and then like eventually you had your own style that looks nothing like Jim Lee, but you wanted to be one of those guys, right?
Correct.
It's not the way you became an artist. And so it makes a lot of sense that, when you see a piece of art, your brain just inherently is going to take that art and go like, okay, how do I work that element in here? I think it's
not even the element. It's discovering the knowledge that put that together.
Yeah.
And once you know that knowledge, you can use your own variables. Like I said, you're not using their variables. You're using their successful discovery, their equation that they came up with. And that's where you don't copy.
Yeah.
You're using their success and then applying your own art to it.
Yeah.
Using that equation or something like that. But you're not using their variables. You're learning from them.
Yeah.
It's almost like a history lesson.
I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
So very cool.
I'm a weirdo, man. I have a lot of time to think. I work by myself, and I really, really, really think about these things.
Yeah.
And
but I think that is part of what makes you and artists like you who are very dedicated to it stand out, because that passion, that attention to detail, the fact that you spend so much time thinking about how your art really functions is probably, like you're saying, that is the difference between somebody who can draw well and somebody who can make great comics.
One's an illustrator, one's a storyteller.
Right.
I try to be a storyteller.
Very good. Very good.
I know a lot of people like using that word, but I don't see it used very often.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's what's missing in the majority of American comics. However, we're having kind of when I started doing creator-owned stuff, I almost, fellow pros sometimes would almost be sympathetic towards me that I'm ruining my career.
Yeah.
And, I should be drawing Batman or whatever, stupid crap they got. Where the characters never change.
Yeah.
Everything's built up for the big reveal of Batman standing on the ledge or Wolverine jumping at the camera. And it's this, it brings me no joy as a storyteller to see people take an art form I truly love so dearly and they just put a candy coat of shit on it. Oh, wait, I'm not allowed.
It's the internet. You're fine.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. Yeah.
Sadly, the majority of American comics are that way. However, there's diamonds in the rough everywhere. It's a big country. It's a big medium. And so whenever I see that, I'm very excited that somebody said, screw that. I got better stories.
Yeah.
And that's one time your ego is good.
Yeah, you're a guy who has done a lot of. You've drawn Batman, and I'll be really honest with you. I've seen your Batman work, and I look at the stuff you do now, and I'm like, obviously a lot of time has passed, but it's still like that's a lot better. It's a lot like you seem like you're having a lot more fun.
Well, my soul's on the page. That's
Right.
me.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Batman's not me no matter how hard I work at it. It's
Right.
never me.
Yeah.
It's somebody else's dream and brand.
Right.
Where if me, I there's countless stories to tell. Come up with your own damn story.
Absolutely.
You know, you can like Batman, you can draw Batman, but I have trouble identifying and sometimes even respecting guys that get comfortable in that. They just I'm a cog in the wheel, and they fool themselves that they're not.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is a really impactful bat. No, nothing impactful happens in superhero stories because they're brands.
Right.
They cannot change. They got to sell Wolverine underoos. So the character has to be the same character all the time. Batman is forever 30 years old or 30, and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. He's the same person at the end as he was in the beginning. That to me, that's not telling a story. You're just. I think I call it visual masturbation. And I'm very sorry. Apologies to people that offends. I don't mean to. This is just how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't think lesser of those people. I don't identify with them, and I don't agree with what they're doing.
Yeah.
In my sense, in
Right.
my selfish id. I think. I don't even know what the question was. It's been a long weekend, man. But and I ramble. But
That's good.
I think it's important for people, if they really want to tell stories, to learn how to tell stories and not study comic books, study storytelling, then study the comic medium, what you can do in there and what hasn't been done and why. Why hasn't this been done? Or blah, blah, blah. I found my way. I can't be a monthly artist and be happy, i.e. draw Nightwing or Batman. I was miserable. Nobody seemed to care. They just hammering paychecks.
Yeah.
And that made me I was morose after drawing, a few Bat books. And to no fault of theirs. It's just, so I quit and I went indie. And luckily I won the lottery right away doing Shaun of the Dead. But I think if you're a real artist, or I don't even know if that doesn't even mean anything, real artist, if you're truly trying to be a storyteller, an impactful storyteller, that when people read your story, it not only resonates with them, it sticks with them.
Yeah.
It's part of them now.
Right.
And to me, that's my goal as a storyteller. It's really my only goal as a storyteller.
Right.
Once you kind of go to that side, it's really hard to look back and respect what people are doing on the other side, which is, as I said, the candy-coated branding stuff.
Yeah.
Not that there isn't the occasional nugget of gold in there. There's some very, very talented people making superhero comic books, freakishly talented.
Yeah.
Some of the top of the industry. But I'd rather see them draw their own book a million times over than one issue of Batman.
Yeah.
I don't
that's
even
fair.
care if Batman died tonight. Who cares? We have a billion Batman stories. You'd read them again.
Yeah.
Let's come up with a new Batman.
Yeah.
And he's not called Batman. He's a new character.
Right.
I
I agree with you in that, for me, those stories that you're talking about that stick with you and that you carry for a while, if not forever, those are the ones I'm looking for. And so it's why, to be completely honest, it's why I get so excited about the stuff you do.
Well, thank you.
So yeah, I think you're doing a really great job, and I'm really glad that you're here at Denver, spending some time with us. Well, I mean, you live here, but so you didn't have to go that far to come to Denver Comic Con, but still, I really appreciate that you took the time. So.
Hey, it's great seeing you guys every year, man.
Real quick, how can people find you? How can they be supportive? What do they need to do?
My DA site, which I believe is Space Friend Crunk. Just Google my stupid name. My name, I'm fortunate enough it comes up first.
Yep.
So all my sites will Facebook, Twitter. I'm either Space Friend Zach, Space Friend Z, or Space Friend Crunk. But just Google my name, Zach Howard, ZACH, and you'll find me. I'll be in some corner of the internet, miserable.
And yelling. Hey, thank you so much, Zach.
Hey, awesome. Thank you, man.
Not at all.
Thank you for listening to this exclusive Real Nerds interview at Denver Comic Con 2015, and we'll see you next year. Visit our website, realnerdspodcast.com. You can tweet us at real_nerds. You can email us even, realnerds@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook. Hey, stream us on Stitcher. You want to call us? 720-6nerds5. And download us on iTunes. Just search Real Nerds. Thank you, Joe Kempter, for the wonderful voiceover, and also Spark Mandrill for the wonderful late-night jazz smooth sounds of movies. You can find them on SoundCloud. This has been a Nebulous Visions production.